So let's start with our next session. In the previous session, we have talked about significance, we have talked about managerial and operative functions of HRM. For today, we will be dealing with evaluation of HRM. How the concept HRM evolved, what was the need and why it is being introduced, because earlier also when HRM was not there, things were going on. Manufacturing industries, production industries, they were working. We were having large organization. Then why the need for HRM, evolved, or it was recognized that we require something which is to be managed, our human resource or workforce or team member. So in this regard, we will be having today's session which will be telling us about the evaluation of HR from past, how in past HR evolved. So moving to the next, when we talk about evolution of HRM or human resource management, then basically we have interconnected with various aspects. We are interconnected with various kinds of manufacturing industries, and we are connected with social relations, we are interconnected with relations existing in the organization, because HRM basically deals with, human resource managers basically deals with relations within the organizations between top level, middle level and lower level. Because if you are having good human relations in your organization, then your HR will be successfully working. You don't need to be, very much possessed. You don't require to be very much attentive towards HR, because if you are having good human relations in the organization, then the things will be automatically set and well planned. Because relations plays a major role, we can say critical role in an organization, and it makes the task of HR easy if relations are going good within the organization. But at the same time, if the organization is not having good relations among employee and employers, then the task of HR manager becomes very crucial. He has to manage all the things, he has to manage all the relations, starting from sending of information from top level to the lower level, or from lower level to the top level. So let's start with the evaluation of HRM. When I talk about the evaluation of HRM, then the first credit goes to the Industrial Revolution. Now what is this Industrial Revolution? Until unless we'll be knowing about Industrial Revolution, then how we'll be coming to know about the evaluation of HRM. So first let's discuss about the Industrial Revolution. When I talk about Industrial Revolution, then I'm talking about a revolution or a change, great significant change in the industries. When industries grow, when more and more industries were set up, more and more employees were engaged, at that time only a need for HRM arrived. A need for HRM was felt, that yes, we require someone to manage the human resource, because we were having such a giant force that if that force is not being managed or it is not being systematically arranged, organized, then it will be very tough for an industry to survive. Because when many humans work at one place, being human being, we are having different attitude, we are having different traits, we are having different characteristics. So how all people with different characteristics and trait can work at one place without any disputes, without any conflicts? So the need for HRM arise when we moved into a great industrial revolution. Many of the industries were set up, and those industries were having a giant workforce, a large workforce, and that workforce has to be managed, because at the time trade unions also came into form, and other other concepts between or conflicts between employer and employee also came into form, and we come to know that until unless all this workforce is being managed, it is very tough. So we felt a need for HRM, a human resource management. So the first credit goes to Industrial Revolution, which was between 1820 to 1840. Second, we come to trade unions. When we were having many employees at one place in various organizations, many employees were working. So at that time also we felt a need for HRM, because trade unions were being formed. They were being formed by the employees, by the workers of various organizations. When we are having a trade union means a collective group of the employees or workers of any particular organization. Then those trade unions, they confront all those negative aspects or any kind of problem or any kind of grievance which is been existing between the employees. Now, if such trade unions were a collective group of many employees, then they have to be managed. Otherwise, it will be very difficult for the employer to go up with the organization. The organization will not be able to work or survive. Why? Because trade unions were having more pressure on the employer, that they want their needs to be fulfilled, they want their other things, other requirement to be fulfilled. So that also become a great concern for the requirement of HRM, and in this manner trade unions also lead to the need of HRM, and HRM was felt or required. Third point, scientific management. Scientific management. When I talk about the concept of scientific management, I am taking you back to F.W. Taylor. Frederick Winston Taylor, who is known as the father of scientific management, come up with a new concept and technique which was known as scientific management. And scientific management, in simple words, basically means doing the management or managing the things in a scientific manner. But if you are implementing such techniques or terminologies, then you need someone to check it also, to supervise also. So when the companies, organizations started adopting the concept of scientific management, at that time also the need for HRM was felt, because if you are implementing or applying scientific management, you are going for work study, method study, motion study, then who will be doing these studies? Scientific management means application of scientific principles, application of various theories and techniques which were scientifically proven. But if you are applying or implementing such techniques and technologies, then you need someone who should look after all these concepts or aspects, because if these aspects are left over and they are not given any weightage or concern or attention, then they will be not giving you the result. So to manage scientific tasks, to manage scientific management, to manage motion study, method study, work study, fatigue study, the various studies which were being done under scientific management were to be evaluated. And for that evaluation you need a person. So again the need for HRM was felt, and in this manner HRM evolved into industries and organization. Next, industrial psychology, the psychology of the people who are working on those industries. They also felt that they need someone who can listen to them, who can send their information message to the top level management and the changes they want. Basically, industrial psychology was related to the changes, that if you bring any kind of change in your working, if you bring any kind of change in your process, if you want to bring any kind of change in your methods of working or your modus operandi, anything you want, then how those changes can be adapted. How the psychology of the employees who are working since years and years on a particular technology or techniques, now how we should make them convinced regarding the adoption of new technology. So this was what was known as industrial psychology. Industrial psychology, because industrial psychology should also be brush up or it should be, we can say, refined, that you should also go for adaptation of changes. Because if you are not adapting changes, you are not updating yourself, you are not upgrading yourself, you are not adopting new technologies, then it will be very tough for one organization to survive. This was the thing which was thought by industrial persons and other workers of the industry, that if you are not feeling like, or if you are not ready for changes, then how come you can ask or expect that same thing from the employees also? You have to change your psychology. The psychology of the industrial peoples, or the one who are making the industries, or the one who are governing and administrating the industries, should also change themselves. Yes, that was required. So it also evolved the need of HRM, or human resource management. Next we come to human relations movement era, 1970 to 1980. Now when I talk about human relations movement, then I am talking about the relations between humans. Because as I have told you earlier also, if the relations between humans are not smooth, they are not good, they are not soft, then it is very difficult for one to survive. You will be, always having grudges, you will be always facing conflicts, you will be always facing disputes, you will be facing n number of problems, and those problems will be leading to the, downfall of the organization, or we can say downfall of that particular industry in which we are having such problems. So to eliminate such problems, human relation movement was started, and human relation movement was basically done so that the relation among the employees and employers should be so smooth that we should not have any kind of conflict or disputes among them. And if not having any kind of disputes and conflict will lead to the progress of the organization, or to increase the profitability of the organization. So this was human relation movement. Next we come to behavioral science. Behavioral science basically related to the study of behavior of employees. Because if you want to study how your employees are working, what they need, what are their complaints, is there any kind of grudges, is there any kind of grievances, is there any kind of dissatisfaction, then what you have to do is you have to study their behavior. Because we say behavior speaks. How your employee is behaving, how he is working in his working place, it speaks that whether he is a satisfied or dissatisfied worker. So now we require people. How to study the behavior of the employee? You require people. Now if you are not having any people to study the behavior, then how you can study and how you can bring the changes? If your workforce or task force or team force is dissatisfied, you need someone. You require someone that who should mold them, who should motivate them and take them towards satisfaction. Because satisfaction is the most important part you require in your employee. If your employees are satisfied, they are not having any kind of grievance, then it will be leading up to more and more production and giving you more and more profits. So human relation movement also leads to HRM. And the next point, the contemporary HRM era. Contemporary HRM era means modern. The modern HRM era, when HRM was developing, changing, and he's taking into its novel stage. HRM was coming into its novel stage. At that time also the need for HRM was felt. Because if you want changes anything, if you want that something should develop and grow, then you need study the personnel regarding that, you need the workforce. In this manner, the need for HRM was exist because it was felt that HRM is getting, backward. It's not developing. So we felt that how to develop HRM, and this contemporary era also give us the use of, HRM. Now let's discuss all those points which I have told you in brief, in detail, one by one, because evolution of HRM is a very important aspect. If one is not knowing that how HRM evolved, then his further studies will not be fruitful for him. will not be important for him. So let's move to the next point. The next point is the industrial relation movement, which I have discussed in brief in my earlier slide, that how and why industrial movement was started and what was the reason behind that it gave us need for HRM. So industrial revolution, uses of machinery. When industrial revolution was started, uses of machinery was also increased, and if you are using machineries, if more and more machineries are used, then you need more and more personnel to train your employee. Because if you want your organization to work on machineries and equipment, then they should be trained first. It's not compulsory that you are the workforce or the employees you are having, they are well trained on those machineries. And then who will be training? Who will be giving training on those machineries? Again, the need for HRM was felt, that you need to require human resource manager who will be giving training and development to your employees so that they can work on the new machineries, new techniques, new technologies which has been adopted by you. Because we were moving from men to machine, and moving from men to machine requires training your workforce, developing your employees, and giving them proper training regarding the how to work on any particular machinery. Next we come to mass level production. Mass level production means the quantity of production was raised very high. Mass level. Earlier we were producing at a small level, but due to industrial revolution, the level of production was raised with a great percentage. Now, how this percentage will be managed? Because if you want to improve, if you want to increase the percentage of your production, then you have to go for other important techniques. Those techniques which will be helping you to make the functioning easy. But if you want to go for such techniques, then your labor should be a trained one. Your labor should know how to work on those particular techniques. If you are not working on those particular techniques, if you are not training your labor for those particular techniques, then it will be very tough for your labor to work on that. So this was the second point. Next, to satisfy the human need. Yes, you are increasing your level of production. You are moving from manual to machine, and you feel that your employee will be satisfied, your employee will be adapting everything. No, you have to satisfy his needs also. When you are shifting from manual to machine, when you want that your production should be increased in a great quantity, in a great percentage, then the employee who will be helping you all in this will be satisfied also, must be satisfied also. Their needs should be studied. Their needs should be given a weightage, a proper attention, that whether your needs are fulfilled or not. And if not fulfilled, then we should do something. We should plan something. We must be having a systematic plan, and that plan should work according to the needs of your employees. Next point says profit maximization from the factor of production like land, labor, capital and entrepreneur. Ultimately, if you are having factors of production and they are not optimally, maximally or properly utilized, then it means that you will be not gaining maximum production. But who will be utilizing? Who will be utilizing your factor of production? Ultimately, your workforce. And if you are not paying attention towards your workforce, then you will be not able to give maximum utilization out of the resources available to you. So, to take maximum use of your resources, again, you have to go with your workforce. You have to go with your team members, so that your team members may also think about you. They must also think about your production, and they must also support you in increasing your production, in moving from manual to machine, or in other aspects which are being required. So these were the important points of industrial revolution. When industrial revolution came up, it brings the following consequences with it, which leads to the need of HRM. So this was the first point which makes us clear that why HRM evolved. What was the need of HRM? Why we needed it? Because we were having new techniques, we want mass production, we want optimal utilization of resources, but who will be checking all these things? Who will be evaluating all these things? We require personnel, and those personnel are HRM, human resource managers. Moving to the next slide, trade unions. As I briefed you in previous slide, that trade unionism means small or large collective groups in an organization of employees who work for both positive and negative aspect. They bring positive aspect for the employees and they try their maximum to pass on the message regarding any kind of dissatisfaction, any kind of complaint, any kind of grievance among the employees. Because employees also need a bridge, a linking pin, an agent who should say their things or who should pass on their information message to the top level, because every time it's not possible that employees themselves can pass everything to the top level. No, it's not possible. Many times it happens that they are not able to convey their message to the top level. In this circumstance, what they will be doing? So trade unions means group of leaders, employees for the welfare and benefits of the employee. So world have been separated in two types of economy. One is capitalization, which has a motive of profit maximization. Other side, labor intensive economy. Now we have talked about two types of economy, capital and labor intensive. Capital intensive means when you are going more for machinery. You want that you should earn more and more profits. Profits should be maximized. Either you have to make more use of machineries. But labor intensive means that you have to make more use of labor. And when more use of labor will be done or labor will be utilized much, then the need of trade unions felt, and at that time the need of HRM was also felt. That we need someone to manage them, we need someone to satisfy them, we need someone to motivate them. Labor class reflected their approach by strike, slow down, pen down. Now these were the things which were done when labor class was dissatisfied or his needs were not fulfilled or his demands were not listened. Then what they do? Boycott, pen down, lockouts. These were the consequences when they were not heard. So to avoid such consequences, to let them heard and to take action on the demands, we need HRM. We need a person who should listen to them. We need someone. Because if you are not having any kind of pin which is connecting both of them, then how you will be coming to know about their demands and how you will be going to satisfy those demands. And if the demands are not satisfied, then it will lead to boycott. It will lead to pen down. It will lead to lockouts, and that we don't want. No organization wants. Because if organizations are having such activities, then their production is directly affected. And that effect on the production leads to low profits. And no organization wants low profits. So to have such amicable environment, to have good employer-employee relations, a need for HRM was felt so that we can redress their problems. We can redress their grievances. We, designed a grievance redressal machinery. And that grievance redressal machinery was only and only working for the benefits of the employees. To listen to their complaints, to put their complaints to the senior management and come up with solution to their problems. Because if you are not having any kind of such grievance redressal machinery, then your employees will also be distracted. They will also be not able to know that to whom they should complain. So to avoid all these, negative consequences, the need for HRM was felt with the arrival of trade unions. Moving to the next slide, construction of Titanic and Child. This was just an example which shows that when Titanic was constructed, how child labor was used. And this is again one of the bad consequences and one of the responsibility of HRM, that child labor should be avoided, or we should try to totally eliminate it. Child labor, we should not have child labor, because these type of things brings any kind of dissatisfaction among the employees. At the age of schooling, at the age of education, if you are going for work and organizations are hiring you, they are violating the rules. Child labor is not at all allowed. But go for this. Next, now implementation, evolve and 1920 implementation to 1940. Now these were the basic points which shows that how HRM evolved and implemented between 1920 to 1940. Because as industrial revolution came up, as trade unions came up, the need for HRM was felt more and more. None of the organization can work without having a good HRM department, without having good HR managers, because at the side of employee also, at the side of employer also, both needs to communicate with each other. Both needs to be satisfied, because sometimes it happens always employees are not the one that they are not satisfied. Sometimes dissatisfaction also arises in the mind of employer also. Now it is the role of HR manager only to satisfy both of them and to make a cordial relation between both of them. So in this manner, between 1920 to 1940, how HRM evolved and what were the things done. Development of future science. Development of future science means that what will be the future of employees, what will be the future of HR, what will be the future of industries, organization. We develop the plan for the same, because until unless a core plan is developed, you cannot go for your future. Your future needs planning today. If you are planning today, then you can go for think for a good future. But if your planning is not good, your planning is a fiasco or it is a flop show, then you will be not able to work on it. Second point says scientific selection and training. The training and selection of employees were done on scientific basis. Scientific basis here means that the theories were applied, personal interviews, written exams, and we have various scientific studies also which were used for the selection and development of the employees. Because work study, method study, emotion study, these all are the scientific studies and they are related with the benefit of the employees. Because you must know that up till how much hours your employee can work. If I ask my employee to come 8 in the morning and go 8 in the night and work continuously for these 12 hours, is it possible? No, it's not possible. Every person have its stamina, every person has its working ability, and employer should have some or the other kind of idea that for how many hours your employees can work. Second, friendly cooperation between management. Management here comes employer or the senior level. Employee and senior level must have cooperation for each other. Because if top level or senior level is not cooperating with the employee and the employees are not cooperating with the senior level, then accomplishment of organizational goals and objectives is totally not possible. It's impossible. Because running an organization, or we can say managing an organization, making production, making profits is not only individual efforts. It is not sole efforts. They are efforts of both employer and employee. Now it depends upon that how they both cooperate each other. Because if you are not cooperating each other, then you will be not able to achieve your group goals, or not able to achieve the objectives of the organization. Next, development of every worker to its fullest aspect. every worker should be given an opportunity. Every worker should be given a proper training session, and every worker should be given a chance for development. Because the development of the worker is directly connected to organization. And if the worker is not developing, it means that organization will also not develop. So what you have to do is, you have to take all the employees collectively and try to make develop plans and policies for the development, overall development of all the employees, because none of the employees should be left undeveloped, as development of employee leads to the development of the organization. Coming to the next point, drawback, any kind of disadvantages. All those disadvantages which are being found or which are being traced, they should be eliminated. Because until unless you are working with drawbacks, until unless you are working with disadvantages, then don't think that your organization will be a successful one. What you have to do, first of all, trace or find out the drawbacks or disadvantages and now eliminate them from the system. If anything left in the system, if any negative aspect left in the system, it can be a very serious problem for the organization. So why should we work with drawbacks? Why should we work with disadvantages? We have to work with positive things only. Next point, man become machine, human factors were completely avoided. Yes, it was the efforts of all the industrialists that man should be replaced with machines or man should work like machines, but it is not possible. Men cannot work like machine, and we require men to manage those machines. If we are thinking that those machines will be automatically working, then it is not good. Then it is not as per the requirement, because you require men to operate those machines. So this was the next point why HRM was felt. Moving to the next slide, now we come to industrial psychology. As I have briefed you in the previous slides, industrial psychology also need to be updated, because industrial peoples were living with old psychology. They were outdated. They were not working so in a proper manner that the industries should be updated. Industries should be updated. They must be, advanced. They must be studied time to time, and the change should be adopted. Tasks should be updated. Working style should be changed. Working style should be upgraded. But industrial psychology was the same. They were not working on it. So mainly focus on the part of IQ of the employees through MMPIT, Minnesota Multiple Personality Test, or MBIT, Myers-Briggs Topology, and assign them skill and aptitude based job. Now to change the industrial psychology, various tests were conducted, various interviews were conducted of the employees, and those tests and interviews were only made to judge their aptitude. What is their psychology? How they want to work? Do they want any kind of change? And if change is required, then you have to bring up. You have to come up. So all those things were tested, interviews were done, employees were, interviewed on specific parameters, and that was all done for industrial psychology, so that we can have a drastic change. We can have a great change in the industrial psychology from the aspect of both employer and employee. If I say the psychology of employee should also only be changed, no. Sometimes the psychology of employer should also be changed, because they are working on the same pattern since years and years, and they want to go up with the same pattern, but that doesn't work. You have to change. You have to update yourself. You have to upgrade yourself. Until unless you adapt changes, then progress is not possible, development is not possible. Moving to the next slide, human relation movement from 1971 to 1980. Human relation movement, as I have told you earlier also, a drastic movement related to human relations. The relations of employees among the organization. in which the first contribution was done by Hawthorne experiments, or we can say Hawthorne studies. Hawthorne studies were basically various experiments which were done on employees, which were done to test the relation of the employees and the effect of relation on productivity. Whether the productivity increased with good relations, whether the productivity increased with strong informal relations, or the productivity decreased. In this series, various experiments were conducted. One of the experiments was that a room was given to two groups of employees for wiring. They have to, put wires for electric connection or what, and it was found that both the rooms were supervised in a different manner, supervised in a separate manner. One was supervised very strictly, employees were not even allowed to talk among themselves, and the other one was supervised a little bit leniently. They were allowed to talk among themselves, they can discuss things, they were allowed to study and discuss the things, then do their work. So it was found that the room which was informally supervised, they people performed very well than the room which was very strictly supervised. Then the people who were not allowed to talk at all, those people were not able to give more productivity. They take more time to complete that particular task, while those persons who were allowed to talk and they were doing their work in an informal manner. They were given instructions, they were given guidelines as per their requirement, but they were not very strictly supervised. So it shows that when you are having good informal relations, when your employees are talking among themselves, they are celebrating their good news, they are celebrating their birthdays, anniversaries, they are having a good gel well relation among themselves, then they give you good performance, they give you higher productivity, and that higher productivity lead to higher profit. So in this manner, Hawthorne experiments were conducted. Various 2-3 Hawthorne experiments or different experiments were conducted on the employees, and the aim of each experiment was just to judge that whether the people perform well in an informal manner or in a very strict, tight, disciplined manner. Next we come to interaction with the employee increase the productivity. Yes, when you interact with your employee, when your employer come to you sometime, when your employer gives you some time, when he asks something about you and your family, and when you both come closer, you have some kind of celebrations, you have some kind of functions, then these things increase a level, or we can say a sense of attachment or a sense of belongingness among the employees. And that sense of belongingness or attachment leads to rise in productivity, because now they are informally attached to you. They are having a sense of belongingness. They are thinking your organization as their own. They are not taking themselves as an employee. They are taking themselves as a part of the organization, because they know that their employer is also concerned about them. Their employer also come to them, speak to them, ask about their personal life, have some celebrations, enjoy with them, have party with them. So all these factors bring a sense of attachment. And when you are attached to your organization, then you want to give your maximum efforts to your organization. So this is interaction with employees increase the productivity. Basic facilities are required for the production. Yes, basic facilities means all those basic amenities. If you talk that my production should go on or my production should increase without providing the basic amenities to the employees, sorry, it's not possible. You must provide all those required basic facilities to your employees, so that they should not feel that how to work. I am not having proper resources. How should I work? Why? Because resources are not available. So you must provide all those basic resources, basic facilities which are required by an employee for work. Next, empathized view towards workers have increased productivity. Empathy. Empathy means your attachment towards your employees, your concern towards the problem of the employees. If you are not having an empathic feel for your employees, then your employees will not be coming towards you. They will be, getting departed. They will be having a distance, a large distance from you, because they know that when the empathic aspect, when they need your help, when they need your cooperation is absent, then why they should be attached to you? Why don't they be separated from you? So empathy plays an important role, and overall, as I have said earlier also, human relations. Sympathy, empathy, they all are the part of human relations. Human relations become more good. Human relations become more strong. Your bond become more strong. The smooth relations, as much as smooth relations you are having with your employees, they lead to more and more productivity. They lead to more and more sense of belongingness. They lead to more and more sense of attachment among your employees with you. So every organization must try to go for a good sense of relationship, a good sense of cooperation, and some or the other feel of informal relations with your employees. Moving to the next slide, behavioral science. As I have discussed earlier also, behavioral science basically means studying the behavior of your employees, studying the behavior of your workforce, studying the behavior of your team members. Because until unless you know about the behavior of your team members, then how you can respond to them? How? No, you will be not able to respond, because you are not knowing that how they will reply, how they will behave in any particular condition, in any particular circumstances. So for this, what you have to do is, you have to go for a concept of behavioral science, which will lead you to understand the behavior of your employees. Until unless it is not understood, then it will be very difficult for an employer to think about, to study about, or to know about his employees. Behavioral science says multiple branch discipline like sociology, anthropology, psychology, economics, and politics. These are the various fields which can be studied or which can be taken into consideration while you are studying behavioral science. You can go for psychology, you can go for sociology, you can go for anthropology, you can go for economics. These are the various branches, and these branches help you out to study your employee, to study the behavior of employee. Other than that, if you want to study any external factor also, if you want to study any particular factor present in your economy, then also the concept of behavioral science will work. So what you have to do is, you have to basically study with the help of any of the field of brand. You should go for that, because if behaviors are not well properly studied, then the employer will not be able to respond or say anything to his employee. You can take help from any of these following fields which are available to you. You can go for psychology, you can go for sociology, you can go for anthropology, you can go for economics, and these are the contributors who give us these sciences, who tell us that how behavioral science can be done, how behavior can be studied. It was given by Abraham Maslow, Douglas in Georgia, Frederick Herzberg, Rensis Likert, Robert Black, Robert Owen. These are the various contributors. ERG theory, McLean-Anak theory. They have also given various motivational theories. Why they have done so? Why they have given these theories? Only to study the behavior of your employee, or we can say behavioral science. Because until unless you are able to study the behavior of your employees, the motivational factor cannot be inculcated. The confidence cannot be inculcated, and once the employee is motivated, Once the employee is dedicated to the organization, then the organization will be reaching the heights of success very soon. So for this, it is very important on the part of the employer to go for behavioral sciences. You must go. You must study the various aspects of behavioral sciences, selecting any of the branch. Moving to the next slide, the contemporary HRM. As I have told you, contemporary HRM means the modern view of HRM. How it looks. How? What new is added? What new is required? This is what is contemporary HRM. Because until unless you are going for the study of new developments, you are going for the study of new progress, then how you will be coming to know that what is to be added, what is required. So for this, you have to study the contemporary aspect. Contemporary aspect HRM more focused on gaining competitive advantage in market through HR. Yes, because competitive advantage means that what your competitors are not having and you are having, make use of it. Make use of that particular skill. Make use of that particular quality. And it can be used through HR only, because selection, recruitment, training, development, the most crucial part related to an employee is always done through HR, the human resource manager. So the first point says making use of the competitive advantage. This was the new addition in HRM, or we can say the contemporary aspect of HRM. Focuses on developing HR strategies, aligning them with corporate strategy and achieving organizational goals effectively. Now, what HR decided? HR decided to plan its own HR strategy, to develop its own HR strategy and to align them, or we can say to move them parallelly with corporate strategy, because organizations are directly linked with corporates, the giant. And when the strategy which are meant individually, they are aligned or they are matched with the further future giant strategies, then they give you a lot. Then they help you a lot in developing and progress. So the second strategy or the second advancement in HRM was that making individual HR strategies and to make them align with corporate strategies. How corporate players are playing, what they need should be discussed and developed at HR level only. Then we see that whether our strategy are matching with corporates or not. If not, then changes can be bring. And this is what is contemporary HRM, or we can say new and advanced HRM. Moving to the next slide, evaluation of HRM in India. How HRM evolved in India. When I talk about in 1920s to 30s, pragmatism of capitalists. Capitalists, as I have told you earlier also, capital intensive. There are two types of people. One, capital intensive, second, labor intensive. Capital intensive wants more use of machines. Labor intensive wants more use of labor. So when the entry of capitalist was there, at that time we felt a need for HR in India. 1940s to 50s, technical and legalistic. Now the technical aspect was developed. It was getting progress, and at the same time legal aspects were also developing. So who will be managing technical and legal aspect? We need someone. So we felt the need for HRM in India. Next, 1970 to 80s, professional, legalistic and impersonal. Professional peoples came into the field. Professional peoples show their work. And in this manner, again, legalistic things were also launched. They were also required. But who will be managing them? Impersonal. always the things are not taken on personal behalf. You have to be sometimes impersonal, means you have to think for others also. You don't have to think for yourself. But how these things will be managed? Who will be managing? So again, the need for HRM was felt in India. And in 1919, various philosophies, new philosophies were launched. And now these new philosophies should be studied and then they will be applied and implemented. But how? Until unless you are having workforce, until unless you are having personnel, people to apply them and to study them. So in this manner, philosophical aspect also gave a need, or it also gave a felt for HRM in India. Moving to the next slide, history of HRM in India. How HRM came. I have given various points which will make the things clear that how HRM came into India. Available in scattered manner. Earlier HRM was available, but it was scattered. Scattered means we were not having a proper, systematic department. HR was done. If I talk about, peoples were recruited, peoples were selected, salary was given, promotions were done, training and development was given, but it was all done in a scattered manner. It was not available in a systematic or in a framework. So this was lacking in the earlier stage in India. So many informal ways on implementation. Implementation means when techniques, new policies, plans were to be implemented, people were not having hierarchical order, was totally absent. So as we feel like the things were implemented, we were not having any particular person that you will be implementing. No, we were not having any particular person for giving instructions. Nothing like that was there. So it also it was also a face of HR in India. In 1920, due to the recommendation SS Bengali under the title of Royal Commission, labor welfare officers were, employed on every manufacturer. Now, when we feel like that the things are totally haphazard, they are not at all systematic. Then in 1920, labor officers were employed and they were deputed at various manufacturing concerns. Tata Steel, then the initiative was taken by Tata Steel for HRM, that they feel like that we need HRM. We need a particular department. We should, handle, we should manage and take care of all administrative and vigilance work. And that was known as Administrative Vigilance Department at that time. In 1948, first in charge approaches for the Factory Act. Now we have gone for Factory Act. And in 1948, we have Factories Act launched. And that Factories Act covers and contains every aspect related with the working of factories and stipulated working hours for female, teenage worker and security about female worker. Everything was covered under Factories Act 1948. So point 6 says, TV Rao, Parik, they have also started a personal management, IIPM, National Institute of Labour Management. 1970, professionals were there with new technologies, HR challenge, HRD was discussed. In 1980, IIPM emerged into National Institute of Personnel Management. They, frame a new institute which will be giving education only about personnel management. In 1990, emphasis shifted to human values and productivity through people. Now, in 1990, the drastic change was that human values were studied and they were given attention, that yes, we have human values, because until unless we have human values within ourselves, then how we will be giving value to others? How human will be given valued? So for this, 1990, human values concept was also launched. Now these are few qualities of a HR manager. According to me, if you talk about an HR manager, then the first and foremost required is good communication, a communication which should link everyone, a communication which should be soft and polite for everyone, a communication which is not at all discriminating, a communication which does not know the word inequality, a communication which is made same for all, which is not at all having any kind of discrimination, either talking to senior level or talking to junior level. This is the first and foremost requirement of an HR manager. Now, moving to all those points, knowledge, he must have knowledge, intelligence. HR manager should be intelligent, good communication skills, as I have told you, objectivity and fairness. He must have some objective regarding his work. Because if you are not having objectives, your objectives are not decided or set, then it can lead to problem. Leadership and motivational qualities he must have, because HR manager should be a good leader, and at the same time he must be a good motivator. Because if you are not able to lead people and motivate people, then what you will be giving to the organization? Nothing. Then emotional maturity and empathy. Emotional maturity and empathy means that you must have emotionally matured, you must know what decisions are to be taken at what time. So all these things must be known by HR manager. Empathy, until unless you are having empathy, then your full role of HR cannot be shown. So these are the few qualities which I have mentioned for HR manager. So this is all for today's lecture. Thank you.